we also integrate the people also on the lecturer side.
Okay. Okay, thank you for sharing the entire details about how the system works, and also you just told us about the history. I think that's what makes it different from the other apprenticeship systems in the world, because there is a close connect with the industry there. And with this, I would like to move on to Mr. KP Sharma to get his insights from about the Indian system. So, Mr. Sharma, here in India, we still are not able to establish apprenticeships as the way to help industries get skilled workforce or skilled apprentices, and then get them trained and, if possible, absorb them. Could you please share your insights from the big picture view of the current scenario in India?
Yeah. Thanks, Madhuri, for this wonderful session. And thanks for inviting me here. I guess this was really good to hear both of our friends on apprenticeship from industry and academia perspective. Now, what is happening in India? I guess when I see Schneider Electric, I'm also responsible for international, where we have about 70 plus countries, right? So when we compare the apprenticeship program in Australia or Japan or Korea or Indonesia or, all those kind of countries, and then at the same time, Schneider is also doing, because it's a European company, so we have a head office in Paris. So we see what's happening in France, what is happening in Germany, what is happening in US and all those kind of regions. But I guess it all depends on a lot of local laws, government policies. In some countries, absolutely, this is very standardized process, very well integrated between industry and the government and the policies, and it's also linked with the job and the skill of the students who are coming out of the colleges or ITIs or technical institutions. Now, coming to India, I guess we have a process of apprenticeship. For example, in Schneider Electric itself, in last 3-4 years, we have taken about 1,000 plus. Last year, we were even having 2,000 plus apprenticeship in the multiple schemes of the government, like NAPS and other kind of the schemes. But I guess where we need to have more focus and attention, where industry can also come forward with the true spirit, real spirit of really bringing those students to the industry, bringing them to the skills. Because as our Prime Minister and a lot of other initiatives which are pushing, like how to make in India, and I guess in Make in India, the skill of the young population and young engineers, ITNs and diploma holder is very, very important. So I guess the process is there, but still this is not very well integrated. For example, earlier it was 3 years program. Now they are moving to 1 year program. So I guess still there are some gaps, but industry need and what government plans for the industry. But the good news is I'm also being a co-chair in ASSOCHAM, on the electronics and hardware and some other forums. We are trying to make it sure how to build those gaps, where what should be the perfect curriculum for our apprenticeship, what should be the right tenure and period for these guys to be in the industry, factories, DCs and all, and how industry can also full-heartedly support this whole apprenticeship process. This is a beautiful initiative program, but I guess effectiveness needs to be improved further. And like Rainer and Werner mentioned, I guess in countries like Germany, I have seen in Italy a little bit, France working very fine, US it works absolutely beautifully, Singapore it works very good. So I guess we should also benchmark some of those practices, and it's good like you guys are leading on this kind of discussions, where together I guess we can make it more effective in India.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for sharing the details and also giving us the industry perspective. And also, you very well summarized the kind of scenario we have in India with the government policy and the NAPS program and others. I would like Mr. Mohapatra to add to it or tell us a little more about your perspective, the holistic perspective of the apprenticeship scenario in India today. and how the academia and the industry collaboration is yet to happen very effectively.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the German expert. And in general, I'll say apprenticeship is being not done very vigorously in India because the industry, or for some wrong reasons, we had a lot of dependency on government to push the apprenticeship. That itself speaks the weakness of our country in making apprenticeship popular. Knowing the whole world of things like Singapore or Germany or US, Australia, they have gained out of this apprenticeship, but we have unfortunately not made it a practice. We see the wrong side of things. Government is trying to push apprenticeship popularity. It will not happen. It will only happen if industry pushes the popularity, and if industry comes forward to find a ways and means to make the apprenticeship popular and commit the numbers and happen. We have a huge problem. We have a quality education, but not quality engagement. Apprenticeship can improve the effectiveness of those engagements, but we have a huge problem of huge quantity, which is beyond the demand. Other countries are a bit lucky. They have reasonable demand. They have reasonable supply of the education system. So to make alignment of this apprenticeship. But in our system, to do it, we'll probably find 2x or 3x people coming out of colleges. They're looking for apprenticeship. They won't find the apprenticeship. Yes, we can improve the quality of apprenticeship, but we can't probably feed everybody. So it becomes a hunger issue. It becomes a challenge. Maybe that's why industry is staying away. We are trying to talk to the industry. Now government has made some curriculum changes in AICT where they feel apprenticeship is a must for everybody. So we are going to extend it to workplace apprenticeship, industry apprenticeship, places of practice apprenticeship. We have to broaden. Like German experts have already said, there is nothing like learning through practice, learning by doing. We do understand these things. It's not that we don't understand, but we don't have sufficient industrial avenues to probably adopt all the graduate requirements or industrial requirements of apprenticeship. And those numbers, even if the quality can improve, probably there'll be a number mismatch in quantity of demand and quantity of supply. So this is becoming a problem. That's where some situations are coming. Little bit of industry backing out at times, but that will improve. Industry also understands these things are useful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mohapatra. And I once again welcome all the participants who are joining us. And there was a delay in going YouTube live due to some technical glitch. I think by now we must be live on YouTube as well. So I would like to just continue with my questions for the German experts. That's Professor Bernhard Kostler and Dr. Rainer Stetter, both of them representing industry and academia. That's a best combination we could get for this panel. So let me ask both of them, now that you heard about the Indian side of apprenticeship, could you tell us a bit about the policy level? Like in Germany, maybe you can tell us how the government and the policy for apprenticeships really encourages both the industry and the academia to come together. Is there something like that in Germany, or some points maybe we can hear from both of you?
The combination of academia and industry, especially in the apprenticeships of vocational training, it's not only a policy, it's a tradition. Yeah, it's really deep implemented. Yeah, it's not that the government says you have to do it this and that way. Yeah, it's in the DNA of the companies. Yeah, if you do a vocational training, if you have a professional school, for example, my son studied mechatronics on a vocational level, and he worked 4 days in the company and 1 day in school. Yeah, and therefore this is not really a government thing. Yeah, it's a kind of we have it already in the backbone of our life. Yeah, and therefore I can understand that for you it's something special that we do it like this. Yeah, but for us it's totally normal. Yeah, and if you go to other countries, and if we explain our way of apprenticeship and vocational training, we as Germans, we are always stunned that more or less all over the world, it's different to us. For us, it's just normal. It's not that the government, the chancellor say you have to do this and that way. No, it's just the way as we live. Yeah, and therefore, well, Bernhard and me, we are a little bit stunned. Yeah, we have a lot of international progress projects. Yeah, that it's normally vice versa. Yeah, and therefore, I really recommend that the industry works more closely with the academy, because it's crucial. And as well, the German Mittelstand, the small and medium-sized enterprises, for them, they have often more people with only a profession, not a study, but this is the backbone of Germany. And therefore, I really highly can recommend to get more closely together, and that it's not just a policy, it should be a kind of way of living.
Okay. Yeah, I think the word you used
to add something to Rainer.
Yeah,
I think I totally agree with Rainer. I think it's good that especially the politics or government do not put their fingers too much in it. So it's our duty. But one policy we have, especially on the university, but also on the vocational education or apprenticeship, so that academic or the schools, and we have the freedom of research and teaching. So we define what's necessary, and this has to be closely together. So I'm talking with the or we look what the industry needs, and we have to work closely to the industry, and we define, okay, which topics are important or not, closely together with the industry. And to be honest, the government, especially in the German government, there are very few technical people with technical experience. So it would be the same if you say to me, oh, now you become the boss of a lawyer company or so. So this would fail. So it's our duty, but we have the policy till now in Germany. Let's see what will happen, but that we have the freedom to define how to do that. And government, more or less, in these topics, leaves us in peace.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. And I think with the points that you both told us about how the system works, I think the key word was the DNA part of it. It's there in your DNA. So that summarizes it all. It's very natural to think of industry integrated education in Germany, where the academia is also open to doing these partnerships, and it's kind of synchronized very well with the education system. Whereas on the other hand, as you both rightly said, in other countries it is still a struggle, and you have also found that systems work very differently in other countries. So in India, as I just mentioned, it's just that it's just about 8 or 10 years that the rules have changed to make it more flexible, more incentivized. And also in India, another peculiar, or rather, I think the identity of industry, as you may be knowing, is mostly MSME, the micro, small and medium enterprises, or mostly medium enterprises. So we are also trying to educate many industries about, having at least 1 or 2 apprentices, even if they are small companies. So that's where we stand today. And the system also has partners like training partners, then academic institutions, ITIs, and of course, partnerships with other German organizations like GIZ and others who are also working in the system. So I think going forward, we might see, better adoption and also more education on this front. After hearing this, Mr. Sharma, what do you have to say about the Indian system from the policy perspective? Do you think we are doing it right in terms of rather pushing it on the industry? But you representing the industry, maybe you can give us a few insights which perhaps could be very useful for our audience and also others from the industry to imbibe them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Madhuri. So I guess, we have heard 2 to 3 comments now. First, it should be in our DNA of the industry to push this apprenticeship. Second, we have heard we should not, government and policies, maybe we should not be interfering too much into industry and academia, and they should. But I guess no, we have to split into two ways. For example, earlier I was with Dell Computers, now I'm with Schneider Electric. As a Schneider, if I talk about, most of our policies are aligning what Bernard and Arina are saying. For example, in India, we trained about 100,000 plus electrician as a company, as a responsibility on our cost. We have given about 100 plus training center kits for electricity end to end in about 18 cities in India. So that's one part. Second, inside industry, the apprenticeship, the interns, it is our company's policy as a part of sustainability, like how you should help support students, how you should help support in this particular domain on apprenticeship. So as a Schneider Electric, absolutely we are supporting. And as I said, in last 4 or 5 years, the kind of apprenticeship which we have taken in our company, and we will keep doing those continual basis. But I guess the disconnect is, like you mentioned, let's say we have 2,000 plus suppliers and most of them are MSME. And when you go to them for apprenticeship, I guess either due to the policy or due to the commitment from the Indian industry is still not there. So I guess when I know Mahapatra ji, when he was the CEO of Electronic Sector Skill Council, he put it very hard in the electronic industry to make it sure how to make this program successful. And even he was successful in, I know at least 6-7 industries where with his personal commitment, with his personal networking, and with some kind of policies, bringing industry, academia, and government at one table, and he pushed many things. But I guess we need to do a little bit more here, where at one side policies are there, but industry has to take more ownership. Industry has to take more accountability, and industry has to take more pain, because we still feel Indian industry still not taking apprenticeship. Sometimes, I'm sorry to say, but sometimes industry feels this apprenticeship as a commodity to use them for their work rather than helping them to bring their competency, bring their skill up to certain level so that they can contribute nation building, they can contribute to the industry, they can bring value proposition to Indian industry when as compared to China and other part of the world. Overall, I guess we are going in the right direction. We are also working with the government very closely, but I guess it will still take more time, the way it works in Germany, the way it works in Singapore, the way it works in US and other part of the world.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for sharing your views. I guess we will have our own model evolving in the coming years from the way things are getting implemented. But a couple of points you mentioned are very crucial. The idea of using apprentices as, I don't want to use the word, but we usually say, okay, as cheap labor, they are being used by many companies. But then I think now probably the entire perspective is changing, hopefully. I'd like to know from Mr. Mahapatra, sir, this idea about using apprentices, which is actually true, and not seeing the big picture and the long-term view of the benefits, not only for the industry, as Mr. Sharma said, for nation building. Where are we on this? And also in terms of getting acceptance for apprenticeships as a concept, because internships are okay, engineering colleges, internships are popular. But when it comes to apprenticeship, there is always this kind of advocacy and support activities. What do you have to say on this? So you're on mute. Would you please unmute yourself? Yeah.
I have 2 or 3 fundamental points to make. We are discussing with good countries, good references, good MNCs, talking good things about apprenticeship. But India, we have a serious problem. The quality of input into vocational education schools is very, very poor. It is because everybody is running for a degree, whether it is an art degree, science degree, engineering degree, or a law degree, people are happy. People are not running to vocational schools. Nobody thinks, no youth thinks that running to a vocational school, doing a good vocational training will give him a good life or a good job or good prospect to earn a career or a living. So because of this craziness for running for degrees, we are getting the leftover community which is coming into vocational education. That is why industry has less faith on vocational education not collaborating to the extent we see collaboration in other countries. The input quality is not as poor as what we get in our country. This is one basic difficulty which needs to be solved, and it probably cannot be solved. It's a social problem. People want a degree. They feel degree is a more respectable. Whether they get a vocational education, a job, or a degree, they will choose for a degree without a job, but not vocational education leading to a job. If I give two options, this is how it happens. And government, when it pushes, it can barely achieve some quantity, but not the quality. But government will ask for compliance. Industry will tick the number. They'll say, I've done 30 numbers, I've done 20 numbers. Government can only enforce number compliances, but not the quality compliances. If we want to do quality compliances, we should have real good assessment, like what is happening during the process of apprenticeship. Is it being delivered correctly? Is the student getting benefit out of it? Or is it getting just used as a cheap labor? These are certain critical issues. So to solve the problem in India, we have to solve everything together. So it's like a puzzle. So I don't see it improving till the input quality of students and the society accepting. Like German, nobody feels bad. People make an informed choice. Instead of going to higher college and earning a degree, I choose vocational education. In our society, it is not still a practice. Till we break this, we will not be able to have the good days. Thank you.
Okay, I think you have really highlighted the core issue that we are facing in India, which is to do with the social dimension of vocational education and apprenticeships, because these two are closely related, and the idea of vocational education being kind of inferior. But there is good hope that with the new education policy, NEP 2020, we are talking about pushing vocational education into the mainstream. So hopefully in the coming years, I would say years, not year, coming years, we might be seeing a lot of positive change. So on that note, let me move on to the next part of this panel discussion. In the meanwhile, I request the participants, in case you have any questions for our experts, please put them in the chat, and we'll be happy to share it with them before the closure of this session. We have another 20 minutes to go, so please do that. So now let me come back to the most important aspect here, which is to do with the kind of measurement. You already mentioned about how do we measure the impact? How do we measure, what are the parameters to say that this was a successful apprenticeship program? Is it like a placement, or is it like ready to be placed? Like, for example, I've seen in many companies, like, for example, probably in Schneider or even in other companies, when you train them as apprentices, in case you don't have a job, you might want to put them, in other, in your network, in your supply chain network or your OEMs. So they might be considered for jobs in your own network. That could be a reason if you don't have enough opportunities. So is placement, or is long-term placement, or what are these parameters? So I would like to ask, again, get started by asking Mr. Rainer Stetter, the industry representative for us, what would be the key parameters? Can you please highlight maybe 3 parameters of a successful apprenticeship program?
Well, a normal apprenticeship program in Germany runs 3 years. Yeah, such a young guy and girl works for 3 years in a company, and for sure at the very beginning it does the low-level work, because at the very beginning he or she doesn't know very much. But step by step it's coming to a higher level, and finally, especially the professionals coming out of this area are highly welcome in our industry, because they learn from the very beginning this thing, and therefore I really can recommend, and I'm wondering, to be honest, a little bit about the situation in India, that only the degree has a certain value in society. We are now getting in Germany to the point that the so-called Handwerker, the workers with their hands, are earning more money than some people which have studied something non-technical, and they are really looked for in Germany. Therefore, I listen to your situation, and I'm wondering very much because you have a lot of possibilities which we in Germany don't have, and I think that this would be a really opportunity for your country if you focus on apprenticeship, and people who want to learn with the hand and their head. Yeah? And therefore, continuity is one action point, and as well that you care about the people, that you don't use them only for the low-level aspects, and third, to bring them together with engineers, because you, as well in Germany, the engineers have more the theory, but to bring it in real life, they have to use as well people who have some experience using their hands and in practice, and therefore continuity. We have 3 years for apprenticeship in Germany. Then really step up the level of that you of earning. I think this is very important, and for sure you have to train them properly, and not only on a poor level. I see it in other countries as well, that the professional schools, the vocational school, the theory and the level of education is quite low, and therefore the quality of education at that level, I think, is very, very important for you, and I think it's as well a great opportunity for your country, because in comparison to Germany, you have a lot of young people. We don't have a lot of young people, and therefore this would be a great opportunity for you to focus on vocational training, because this is the future.
Yeah, thank you. So good that, you mentioned about continuity, the scope for earning more and the career growth options, and also the long-term apprenticeship, the 3-year period, which you mentioned, and that perhaps works quite differently in India. I'll come to that a little later. But before that, I would ask Professor Bernard about the academic point of view. So maybe you can tell us a bit about your own area, industrial automation, and also how, for example, you would measure the success of a student who's gone and done an apprenticeship program. What would be the criteria? Maybe you can highlight 2 or 3 points on this, concrete points.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I hope in India is the same. You have also standards for different apprenticeship. So I also did an apprenticeship in car mechanic maintenance when I was younger. And then you see the difference when you come to the final to the exams. There is a middle exam after 1.5 years and the end exam after 3 years. And then you see the difference of the quality in the different companies. So in some companies, really, these car maintenance people were only washing cars the whole 3 years. So they know washing cars, but they do not know how to repair the motor. So you see the difference, and then you have the exam. And this should not only be an exam; it depends on the person, but also on the company. To take a look on that. And the other topic is how they continue their career. Because, like I said, I'm on university side, and a lot of good students, and I think the best students, did a vocational education before, apprenticeship before. So they do an apprenticeship, then they do a master, and then they do a master there. It's called Meister. It's a bit different. So you can also run a company. Or you're allowed to run a company in this area, or they do the next step and become engineer, and then they have the whole view. So the real practical part and the theory part, and these are, like Rainer said, the really very, very good people in each company, being a big one or a smaller one. So I did that. It helped me a lot. to see the different part, and it's not the one or the other. It's a good, the good is the thing of the combination. And also what I see at our students who do this dual studies, so they do an apprenticeship and a bachelor, an academic study at the same time. It's a little bit challenging, so they do not have so much time for party like the others who only do the academic part, but they know working. They have their they start to have a professional network, and they are the people who later get a better salary and a better future, and that's the part, and people looking for that. So it's not one or the other. It's the question how to combine intelligently.
Okay. Thank you also for sharing your own example. I think that's quite inspiring to see the value that is added to apprenticeship, and it is getting reinforced in many ways. And as you already said, both of you, that it is culturally integrated in the system in Germany, and in India, we have a long way to go to do many things. At the same time, I would also like to request the Indian experts to tell us more about the parameters. I would start by asking Mr. Sharma. Sir, we have this the stipend and other things, the placement which is linked with apprenticeship. According to you, what are the three, let's say, visible kind of parameters by which you can gauge the success of an apprenticeship program?
Yeah. So I guess let me share with you first what are those parameters where we can see success of this, and then I will also put some thoughts like, what are the challenges here which are not able to see those outcomes which are desirable. So I guess uh, personally and from as a professional, I always see the success of this program is first, when a apprenticeship is coming to corporate world in the manufacturing, in my opinion, the first factor is how much he's learning, what kind of competency index has gone up, so that he himself is self-reliant and he's not only dependent on the company to give him job, but with his skills, with his enhancement in his own multiple competencies, now he's an asset to the industry, so he can work anywhere, and definitely he's going to be a big successful person wherever he goes. So I guess first thing is how he's learning and how he's enhancing. Second, during this whole internship program, see, as an industry also, we have to see we are not here as a social charity club also, right? In industry is there to make money for our stakeholders, for our customers, to make our life for the customer happy. So we also have to make it sure during this internship program, what kind of value addition apprenticeship are making to the company, and how companies making it sure they are happy during those transition. So it's a win-win situation where industry and apprenticeship are learning and happily able to continue this kind of apprentice. And third point, I guess, is absolutely, always I was talking to some ministry and other folks, like, okay, like we starting apprenticeship, let's say today, and after 1 year, what do you want to see? At least numbers are numbers. We need to have numbers also. How many numbers are there who are really successfully done this apprenticeship, and how those guys can make their life better. And like I like the idea of Bernard, like, how many of those are again going to some other education for doing masters or other kind of education after doing this. Having said that, the challenge here is practical challenge in India, because I'm seeing myself in Singapore, Australia, their apprenticeship program, all this apprentice coming from small towns, small villages, and most of the opportunities are there in big cities. Let's say in India, Bangalore, the Mumbai, Delhi, maybe some part of the Ahmedabad, Vadodara and all, because the MSMEs, which are the key industry in terms of number, they are not doing anything. It is a bad idea to say not doing anything, but they are treating the apprenticeship program just they are getting some people for their work, rather than thinking on their competencies and thinking overall end-to-end picture for those apprenticeship program. So I guess the point is, first, absolutely this MSME needs to go up. And second, I guess, in India, I guess still we need help from government, because we are not a developed country like Germany or Singapore, where ecosystem is so strong to support this from many angles. And in India, it should be either supported by some government and some by the corporate. So I guess all these things should go hand in hand to make this as a more successful entrepreneurship program on this internship.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for sharing all the insights about how it works in India and the quality and the success parameters that you just mentioned, particularly the need for MSMEs to appreciate the whole idea. And also the one important point which you also picked up from Professor Bernard is this upward mobility, in terms of higher education, and also the potential to earn more. I think that is something which is the next level for India also. So I would like to ask Mr. Mohapatra, we are still at the nascent stages of apprenticeship promotion acceptance in India. But if you have to spell out your vision and also the parameters for success, what do you have to say? Like, apprenticeship in terms of transitioning from education to work, or working parallelly like work-based learning or work-integrated learning. There's so many of these programs happening. So how would you put your 3 important criteria? Could you please unmute yourself?
Is good for India in terms of where we need to catch up. Otherwise, there is a huge gap and it goes on and goes on. What needs to be done basically is, today we're seeing a lack of proper content or a curriculum for apprenticeship, because the industry takes care of the apprenticeship. It is normally not a structured curriculum which goes to like NCVT or NSTA for some standards. We don't have competency-based input standards correctly set. So apprenticeship becomes a little vague in implementation. Giving that freedom to industry, if they want it, let them take it. But when it comes to assessment, we should be sure that the candidate demonstrate the competency that he is able to deliver what he is supposed to deliver in an industrial atmosphere. If that kind of assessment can be done, and we can do multiple assessment, like the German experts say, they do multiple assessment, they do 3 years, every 6 months, one assessment can be done. One task can be put to competency-based learning, and one assessment can be done to verify that the candidate demonstrates competency-based learning. He is able to demonstrate a task. I give an example, like you work in a hotel industry, hospitality industry. You can be made to work. Then somebody can observe. I can take a video, I can check. The candidate is able to do all the work correctly. He's able to set the table right. It is just like whatever you're supposed to do, you demonstrated doing it, not getting a certificate, I've done it right. Because in India, we can get any kind of certificate from anywhere in many ways. It doesn't help. What helps is, can I demonstrate my competency? Tomorrow I go to the open market, I want to work, like KP said. We can go to the open market and work, if the apprenticeship is converted to a job within the company, or it gives me open opportunity in the open market. If I go to open market, I have to show my competency. And if I want to earn my own livelihood, I need my competence. Is it actually I'm picking up or not? Has to be measured. That is the correct method of saying the assessment is right or the outcome is right. Half the time the outcome is not desired correctly or not achieved correctly by end of it. So we get into difficulty of substandard compliances. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your 3 important points there. I would request the audience, the participants, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, we do have a couple of questions. With this, we come to the end of the panel discussion. We have heard from the speakers about various aspects of apprenticeships, both in Germany and in India, and the issues that are quite integral to the Indian system, because the ecosystem is yet to develop in India. We are trying many models, we are trying many ways, we are incentivizing it. There are stipends and a whole lot of other things to make sure that the system gets, amplified and also accelerated. So that both from the industry, the academia, the technical training institutions, all of them kind of follow this. And finally, it helps in nation development, as Mr. Sharma was saying initially. So I have one question to all of you. Maybe the German experts also can answer. This is from the HR point of view. The human resources team in any company is the first interface to discuss apprenticeship, because they are the ones who are into recruitment and all that. From your point of view, are there any one or two ideas which can be used to sensitize the HR people, the people who are in the HR team, to appreciate apprenticeships and they become the champions in the industry? Is that a possibility? Anyone?
If you want, I can start. I think the engineers or let's say the departments themselves should go more out. Not the department, the human resource department. In my point of view, the human resource department is for making the contracts and these things. And me as let's say as a department leader or in a department, I have to go out and to find the people, because in the human resource department, they have to find lawyers, engineers, whatever, a lot of different people they do not know. They are not in that area. So it's our task. And this is also one part, I think, of a successful hiring strategy. By this way, I came to Rainer a lot of years ago. So this was the connection, and I never, even I was at Siemens, I never had came via the HR way. So it's always better to go the direct way to look together. Let's say what are the competences? What competences do we need? And I think that's the way. That's my point of view, my personal point.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your views. Maybe Mr. Rainer, you have something to say on this?
Yeah, well, I would emphasize this point of view. Yeah, the HR people are very important to hire the people. Yeah, but to convince the people, you need the technicians, and therefore we do these hackathons and demonstrators and so on, to attract people and to show what we are really doing. Yeah, well, in the situation in Germany is completely different to India. We have not enough people to hire. Therefore, we see a potential new people as our clients, and we have to convince them that they come with us, and therefore we have to show them what we are doing, and to play with them. If we are working, we are both Bernhard and me are engineers. That means we are big kids. We want to play. We want to play around with technical stuff, and therefore these hackathons which we are doing, this demonstrator which we are doing, these are big technical toys, kind of sandbox where we can train, and then you can really get in touch with the people. You see what they're doing, what they really can do, and then if you see the right ones, then hire them. That means that the algorithm is vice versa. First to play with them and then hire them.
That's very interesting. I think that's also a very innovative way of attracting talent. And now to both the Indian experts. Sir, like in India, you know, the industry-academia collaboration is more for placements than for anything else in most situations. So what do you have to say? How do we approach, like, as Professor Bernard was saying, it's not just the academic, the HR people, but also, you know, the technical people, as Mr. Rhino was saying. So both of them had a slightly different perspective. What would you want to say on this? How do we address this issue about attracting people?
Yeah, so, you know, first with the Reiner's point, I was there in Geneva 2 months ago. And, you know, in that country and even in France, we are connecting to the, like, what we call in India, the ITIs and diploma holders. There you have to go and convince them why you should come to apprenticeship and all those kind of things, because we don't have too many people. In India, it's the reverse. We have so many, but we don't know how to, you know, bring them into that framework and what to do. And the problem is, when you have too much, we don't know what to do. So, for example, you know, like you said, internship program a little bit more structured, because you are going to colleges, you are getting graduate engineers, and there also you have abundance of people, but okay, that is a bit structured. Now coming to apprenticeship, from where you will get apprenticeship? From ITIs, from all those kind of institutes. Now government at one side is trying to make it sure how corporate world can adopt some of those ITIs. So idea is how to make it more practical. For example, when I go to Germany or Geneva and all, when I go to ITI, like Mr. Rainer was saying, those are digital or technical, toys, because already, the kind of infrastructure, the kind of equipment which are available there in the ITIs or technical institutions at the tier 2 and tier 3 are practical. In India, if you go, some of the ITIs still, they are teaching the TVs, which we are not using. No one of us is using technology, and those guys are coming from there. So I guess absolutely we have to adopt those ITIs from the corporate, start changing the game, changing the culture, changing the tech ecosystem there itself. And then at other side, when you're in an industry, then I guess you cannot bring anyone, all of them, but at least bring the best of breed, train them, coach them, and make employable, which is the main issue today. Even after ITI, people are not employable. They don't know anything technical. So I guess these are the few things which maybe we have to do in India. Long way to go in India, frankly speaking, from culture, from economics, from mindset perspective. But I guess absolutely current government is putting their efforts. So hopefully someday it will go. I wish we can reach specifically the way it is happening in Germany and some other countries very professionally. But things are going in a positive direction. We should not also worry too much, because the way, let's say Schneider, we were having 7 factories. Now we have 43 factories in India. So when you're saying 5 to 43, the scale, the economics is going very high, and you need this kind of. So similar way, Siemens, ABB, LG, Samsung, you name all those kind of industry, the way Make in India is happening, I guess these things will catch up very soon.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That was a very nice positive note. And also you told us how it is getting.
And I also committed to my great friend Mahapatraji, like very soon, we will start 3 or 4 projects in 3 or 4 factories. And definitely we will take help of Bernard and Rainer in Schneider in India. They can take my help in Germany and wherever you are, but we will take your help in India to take this program, make it more robust.
Well, I think that's an amazing thing to hear, sir, about the prospective collaboration. And I think that's what we need. And the objective of this discussion is also to promote this thought process so that we gradually change our mindsets. So before we close, I would like to ask Mr. Mohapatra to share his closing remarks on the need to create awareness, bring the HR into the fold, or like Mr. Rainer was saying, the very interesting idea about playfulness, like a hackathon or something which is more on the light and fun side. So what do you have to say on this?
Yeah. See, the main point, actually, you touched a very sensitive point, how industry relationship and industry engagement with the academia can improve the way we do things, doing better. So that's the only way we can do things better. If the industry input comes, we do better. But unfortunately, my observation is, if we have an industrial relation department in every academic institution I go today, so they have 2 jobs to do. One is placement, other is training. They feel placement is 99%, training is probably 1% or less than 10%. This industrial relation department is probably respected in the university campus only towards placement-oriented contact with the industry, but not the training-oriented contacts, not the curriculum-oriented contacts. That is where if they start working, it will have a lot of long-term benefits. That means you are chasing short-term benefit like a placement and forgetting a long-term benefit where we can work on curriculum, we can work on content, we can work on training of faculties, where industry can help a lot. That is in case we have a long-term view. Unfortunately, being a big country, big population, big youth, we are not having a long-term perspective, so we are losing out. But good understanding is, if we understand, we can act on it. If we admit, we can change. Otherwise, we are chasing everything good. There are a lot of Apple factories coming, a lot of Siemens here, a lot of Schneider here. Everything good is happening there. But what's happening just outside them? In MSMEs, in their suppliers, in their vendor space. The qualities are indisciplined, the mannerism is not there, the procedures are not there, we get into problems. So I seriously feel the academic institution also should change their attitude towards involving industry and respecting industry rather than only respecting them for placement. They should respect them for everything they do. Things will change.
Thank you, sir, for sharing all these points. They are very, very valuable, I think, as a closing remark also, and it has made my job easier to some extent, because what we have discussed so far, I think, is many aspects of apprenticeship, and we have looked at both the countries. On the one hand, we had Germany, the leader in apprenticeship, and also, which we just heard, it's culturally integrated and it is all in the system. The ecosystem has matured so much there. Whereas on the other hand, we are looking at a country like India, where some concepts are new, some things are picking up, but looking at the kind of complex country we live in, it will definitely take time because our industry is not as organized as other countries. So maybe we will come up with innovative systems. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for joining us today and sharing your views, insights, and perspectives. This is definitely very valuable inputs for us. And also the participants, thank you for joining. And there is a feedback form which you can fill up. The link is given in the chat box here. Thank you all. And we will close this webinar in the next 1 minute or so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you all. So I think we can end this session.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.